If you made me choose one planner supply to have, I would hands down select my mildliners to use inside my planner. These are to me one of the most inexpensive yet huge impact tools that you could have in your planner's toolbox. There are tons of colors of mildliners out there available. They come in packages, they come individually. I have bought several packages and then I have pared down to 6 of my absolute favorites. So I'm scooting these guys off. They're great colors, they're perfectly fine, but I have selected these. One of my favorite things is to use a neutral planner, keep everything really pretty clean and neutral, and then to show pops of color through mildliners and stickers and inks. And so these guys have helped me really dictate which colors appear in my planner. I love to look through my pages and see some consistency, like some of the same colors reappearing over and over and over. And so that's what works for me. Maybe you don't want to narrow yourself down to that, and so you can play with all the mildliner colors. But for me, I really enjoy just selecting 6 that I've picked and just letting them be the stars of the show in my planner. If you are new to the concept of mildliners, I'll give you a quick overview. They are a dual brush. So basically you can see here there's like a wider tip that's like a normal highlighter, and it just provides that thicker, wider line. And then on the other side, there's a narrower tip that you could use to create more fine lines or maybe even do some lettering. I typically don't write lettering with these guys. I use them a lot more for tally marks and things like that. So what you see here is the mildliner. These are inks that I'm trying to kind of match up with the mildliner colors, but this row across the top here are the colors that I've selected, and my 6 colors are mild magenta, and then I use a mild vermilion, mild gold, mild green, mild blue-green, and mild gray. And I think that I chose all the colors of the rainbow because number 1, I love them. Number 2, I'm covered. Like if I need a yellow, boom. If I need a green, boom. I have pretty much every color in the rainbow, some variation of it. If you find yourself like, ooh, you love pink and you would like to select, 6 shades of pink, then more power to you. That would be what could appear in your planner over and over. And if that makes you happy, then that's perfect, because that's the whole point, is just to select colors that make you happy when you look at them. And these are the 6 that do that for me. I brought this out because every time I buy a new type of paper, I like to go ahead and do kind of a pen test, see how these mildliners show up on it. Mentioning that because some papers tend to like soak up the dye a little bit more and make the lines slightly darker. So it's really important to me that I can kind of come through, and while they're not light pastel-y colors, they're mild, and I just want to make sure that that's how they're appearing on my pages and on the paper that I use. And so this is one of my favorites. It's the HP Premium Choice LaserJet 32-pound paper. I buy it on Amazon, and I even have it on a subscribe and save, so they just send it to me periodically. So one of the benefits of like selecting a handful of colors to use in my planner is I really love the consistency of seeing the same colors pop up over and over time. Sometimes just 3 of them will pop up for a month. I've done that where I've chosen like these 3 to use just through January, and I've done my best to follow through on that. My favorite pages typically have all of these colors, but it's possible that if you just feel like, oh my goodness, these are not working for this particular month of the year, they don't look at all appropriate, like say in the fall, I've definitely said, okay, I'll use these 3 because those just seem more fall color to me. But as many months of the year that I can possibly use all 6, that's my favorite way to use these. I'm going to walk you through an actual plan with me with my personal size monthly fold out, where I'm just going to go ahead and show you as many ways as I possibly can of how I think you can use these inside your planner. And that's not a comprehensive list. I wish it were. I wish I could think of everything, but I know there's other ways to use them. So if you have ideas that you'd like to share, definitely share them below for others to read and for myself. And but I'll do as many as I possibly can. So before I jump in and actually show you how I'm using them, I think it's important to note that I definitely use them to color code in my planner. Not that you would have to use mildliners for color coding, don't feel like you have to associate it like that, but it's definitely how I select the colors in my planner. You can see here that every member of my family has a color, and then some of the colors have extended uses, and some of them aren't even mentioned here. For instance, like green is me, but green could also be Instagram, or the aqua could be my husband, or it could be Facebook, or it could actually even be just, I want to use that color, and I do. So I have a rule, you can see it here, but I always extend that to do kind of what I want in my planner to make it work for me. Okay, because I really wanted to just focus on mildliners here for this, I've already come through, dated, stamped, and done a few touches here on my monthly layout, but I wanted to just show you how quickly, the very easiest form I can think of to use mildliners is to add an event into your pages, and that's by just a simple task mark. So if I have an appointment that's me, say here, I can just come through very easily and do those 2 little marks. Then I can come back and just write in what it is the event is for, or the time, whatever I want to do there. So you can see that that doesn't take up a lot of space, especially when you're working in a smaller size like a personal or a pocket planner or any of those type. It's just a simple way to come through and add in those little events. And I love that for me, if I know that I need to add an event for myself, the guessing is taken out. Like I don't need to sit and wonder which color I should use. It's for me, then I just use that color. And while that, like I said, can mean a lot of green on a page that I don't necessarily love, it's also information. As I look back at a month, I can see like, oh, I was really busy, or oh, my kids or my husband had a lot of activities that month. So that's just, it's like kind of a no-brainer, like quick, I've assigned it, I know what color I'm grabbing, and it just makes for an easy entry into my planner. So I took a second and added in some of the other events that are going on this month. You can see that there's still plenty of space. Like if I wanted to come back and add a sticker or some decorative elements after I had everything added in, there's plenty of room for that because these didn't take up much space. The next thing I wanted to show for using mildliners, one of my favorite things is just to use it to mark an event that happens across several days. And I try to be mindful when I'm adding my events to keep them kind of in the middle. If an event stretches across a few days, I'm either going to make a line across the top or along the bottom. For instance, my husband is going to be out of town this next week, so I like to come through and just go ahead and draw an entire line on those times because that gives me a quick glimpse that, oops, sometimes you just want to make sure that you get it facing up next to the ruler. I kind of bugged that up. I do like to wipe off with a baby wipe after I've done that because a little bit of ink will stay on your ruler, and if you try to mix colors, it can mess that up. But to me, that's a really quick and simple way to show like something is stretching across several days. Mildliners for the win. I know I have another event like that coming up later on, probably part of Thursday and some of Friday. So I'm gonna actually only do half the day on Thursday there because I don't remember what time we're leaving. So I'm gonna go ahead and come through and add that event that relates to my son. This particular insert is a fold out, and so I'm gonna show you really quickly just how that kind of works for us. I usually take a ruler or something, some type of a straight edge, and I stick it down that between Wednesday and Thursday because that's my fold line for these guys. And I just run up against it with something that will help me get a straight edge. Then I make sure that this part here is lined up so it's not a crooked fold. And then again, just take that straight edge and fold it like that. So because this particular insert has all this awesome grid space, I feel like mildliners can help you bring purpose to that, and I'll show you some of the ways that I do that within my pages. The first one is to create an easy little task list. And one of my favorite things to do is to make out some notes for the month that I know that we want to do. And my other favorite thing to do is to assign those to people in my life. So basically right now there's myself, my husband, and my son at home. And so I can come through and make a list of things that I know that we need to do, like say switch vacuum bag this month. And that is basically assigned to anyone, but I can also get more specific and say like, here's something that I want my husband to do or something that I want my son to work on. So I'm just showing examples of like, you could just do all the same color, but if you want to get fancy and you want to assign things to actual people, or there are things that relate to specific areas of your life, maybe you want to break it up into work, personal, and self-care. Who knows what your variations are? It's unlimited possibilities, but creating a colorful task list that just draws your eye, keeps your interest, and maybe keeps you coming back to actually accomplish those tasks. That's what I love about mildliners. I know a lot of people use mildliners to mark off the tasks as they accomplish. There's nothing better than to look at a page and to just see what's left to do with a big, noticeable change from the other events. So I'm not going to do this right now because I'm actually going to give that ink a tiny bit more time to dry. But I wanted to just mention that right now in case I forget, but you can always use that to come back through and mark off the things you've accomplished. Another fun thing that I've been doing with my mildliners lately is just building a little monthly tracker of things that I want to accomplish. And so I just basically take 7 little spots. Sometimes it's nice to do this on grid because you have like a box for each tally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I normally do that like in full rainbow order, but I forgot that it's even better if you can start on a Wednesday and on the right day of the week. So you see that like my actual color got a little bit off there. Oops, okay. But to me, that's what I'm doing here, is building a little calendar. And since January starts on a Wednesday, ends on a Friday, I actually did those colors that way. Like I said, normally I would do like in the color of the rainbow, but this doesn't matter. It still builds a colorful thing. And for me, in the example here is that I'd like to close my exercise rings as often as I can this month. So that's a really fun way to just keep that there on a monthly page. But how fun to build your own little monthly tracker. You don't have to buy a sticker. It's right there for you. Keep in mind that you could totally do this on your weekly pages as well. Just do a row of 7 and then write whatever it is that you're tracking next to it. Super simple. I do that with my hydration. I'll draw like 8 tally marks, 1 to represent each glass of water, and then that prompts me throughout the week to actually do that, drinking of my water. Some of the examples that I wanted to show you don't actually apply to my monthly layout. So for instance, when I have an event that stretches across several hours in just one day, I like to draw a line down there to just represent the time that it's taking. Whether I'm using hourly pages or not, I can still just do a nice big long line, or really something that shows how long and how much time that event is actually going to take from my day. But you can see even just like small events there, I'll do like, if it's just an hour, I'll make it stretch across there. If it's a half hour, I just do the quick tally mark like I did there. So those are just ways, and this page is predominantly, there's some inks involved here and a couple of stickers, but predominantly this is a lot of just mildliner usage here that creates this full colorful display of what's going on in my week. Something else to mention is that you don't even, you could, if you don't really like that sparse. If you don't like that sparse look of just the single line, you could always come back and kind of make your own event box. And that's something else that I've seen people do, and like, color in one end of it if you wanted to kind of make it more noticeable. You can get as creative as you want on something like that. I tend to keep it pretty clean, because as soon as I do something like that, then it tends to bug me, like, I didn't draw that right. So the more simple that I can keep it, oftentimes the better I will end up liking it later. I also wanted to point out that it recently occurred to me, like sometimes on these narrower columns, I feel like I don't have space to do my hydration, but I was thinking about it the other day, and I could definitely just do like 2 rows of 4. So like what I'm talking about with the hydration is I would just come in like this and pick a spot where maybe I know I don't have an activity, and I can come through and just draw those all the way across the bottom. They end up kind of looking like a fun pattern once they're all the way done. So I do like to do that. And also they can be a little bit of a like line of demarcation in a planner. Like if you want to break up your day a little bit into like a morning and evening, or at work and personal, it's a really great way to kind of create that boundary in your planner just by using mildliners. Then you can see there, I kind of have a running thing that I always do every Sunday. So meal plan, grocery list, and family meeting. Those are in gray because everyone in my family participates. I'm actually one meal planning. But that's just an example of something that would pop up in my planner week to week. Simple mildliner list, and that just works really well for me. The last thing I wanted to mention, because it's one of my favorite things to do, is to take plain blank Avery label stickers. I have different shapes here that I hope you guys can kind of see. Small, medium, large. Add in a stripe of color so that suddenly now this blank label has that edge on there. Can't tell if you guys can see that. And so that can be an event that's specifically towards this person in your life or this area of your life. Those are really simple ways, and then these are repositionable, and I do love that. So you can pull it off if it doesn't end up working, and instead of just writing directly on your paper. That's the reason why I would use these, is if I thought the event was up for grabs, like it wasn't entirely concrete, then I tend to grab something like this, removable, but something that I can customize. You can see there I just drew a line through that, but you can do like kind of like a top half green, and I should probably use a ruler to make that really nice. But like people, create stickers like that all the time that are like half and half, and there you've got it, just your little mildliner simple sticker that is perfect for adding an event into your planner. So I hope that by me walking you through these monthly pages and the cute little ways that you can use mildliners, I hope that inspires you to consider using something so simple like a mildliner in your planner. The whole point of this series is for me to share what totally works for me and what I feel like is really valid, but it's also a great opportunity for you to watch, look at them and go, yeah, no, that's not gonna work for me, or yes, indeed, I would like to incorporate those in my planner's toolbox. So I will, of course, link everything below. I do get a small commission if you choose to purchase these on Amazon, but I would encourage you, if you can find them at your local Michael's, do whatever works for you. Obviously, I'm just trying to show you the materials that I love, and then I will provide you ways to purchase them online, but you can track them down however is best for you. If it's applicable, I'll share with you how I store these items, and these I definitely store in this little Lehite Labs pencil case. I purchased this on Amazon. I have it in this aqua color, and then I have an orange one that I kind of move into for the fall time because aqua just seems no longer appropriate. But these fit perfectly in here, and I do keep usually a couple of other pens in here. It has a nice little pocket that you can keep other, like I have refills for pens and a few thin washi strips here in the side pocket. But this has just been such a nice thing to carry around. This travels with me usually when I travel. I love having all the colors there at a glance, and so it's just something that I wanted to share as part of the mildliner video. Lastly, before I filmed this video, I asked some members from my Plan to Creatives Facebook group if they had any questions about mildliners, so I'm going to touch on those real quick and make sure I covered them. Okay, so Tracy asked, what made you select those colors? And does anything influence what colors you use to code certain things? Okay, so years and years ago, I selected, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg, but I found like these sticky notes, and I'm pretty sure I had an aqua or blue color as well. These are from Russell and Hazel. And then I tracked down these Copic markers that I would use to do some color coding. I don't think that I would ever be able to put these straight to paper. I feel like they might have bled through, but I would use them to color some stickers from Avery. And so those were kind of the very beginning of my color coding before I discovered mildliners. And so I had already assigned these colors to family members, probably similar to you, Tracy. She said that she chose pink and blue for her son and daughter. I'm pretty sure my daughter got pink. And then my son was kind of more the orange. And my husband took blue, and I think maybe I took green for the team. I don't like the color that much, but maybe I didn't feel like anyone else would want it, so they don't even care. But that's basically how I selected those. And then for other things that I use these, like I use these to show YouTube is kind of, I select this color for YouTube because I feel like it matches up to YouTube's colors. So I do, like this one is kind of Etsy. Etsy's orangey yellow. So if I have something going on with Etsy, I might add it in this color. This one happens to be like kind of more Instagram related. So I do probably try to match them up as best I can to what they would be in real life, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's how it kind of originated. It was from these, and then it rolled into these mildliner colors that I selected. Okay, so both Maggie and Lynn in my Facebook group asked me about ink selections that match up with the mildliners, and I would like to go into more detail on this. I probably would do a separate video just on the inks and give you a little bit more testing with that and show how they work in my planner. But until I have a chance to do that, number one, I have a link up on my website that really shows you where I purchase each of these, and it also has some backup colors. Like there is other brands that I will use, but I'm really trying to narrow it down so that it kind of focuses it. So I'll go through each of these colors real quickly, kind of showing you which ones they match up with. But if you have any other questions on this, and if you'd like to actually see, I use these inks all the time on my pages, so if you're watching, you'll see me pull these colors. Just kind of depends from week to week which ones I use. This is Sweet 16 from Catherine Pooler. It's available through scrapbook.com or her own website. This is the Stamp Market Bubble Gum color, and I find that that matches up really nicely with this vermilion color. Catherine Pooler Tiara, Catherine Pooler Garden Party are my gold and green matchups. Green has been a really hard one for me, and I've switched around to different ones, but so far this is the best one that's working for me. Tropic Teal is a matchup for the mild blue green, and then I still really like the Color Theory Gray from Studio Calico to match up with my gray. I would say that none of these are an exact match, but one of the biggest things I'm looking for when I select inks is like the user friendliness in a planner, and that these I feel like are all very user friendly. If you use a huge stamp with a lot of mass to it, some of these could potentially bleed through your pages, but on the pages that I use, you can see like that's this page I tested out. Those were all these inks, and you can't see any bleed through whatsoever. There's a tiny bit of shadowing if I hold it up to the light, but that's kind of to be expected for me. But none of them are glaring, and so these are those inks, and you can see no bleed through. Highly recommend and feel like you are safe to use these colors. like I said, I'll do another video, I hope, because I do have other colors. Like for instance, this sea glass is sitting back here. It's a slightly lighter version of the tropic teal, and it's another favorite that I would use. I also have a blush pink that I would use. It just doesn't technically match up to an exact mild liner, but I'd hope to share some more information on that because I do feel like I've done a lot of research on inks. I've purchased so many, and I would love to save you guys money if you're looking for inks in your planners, because it can be a little crazy trying to test out and match up, and I've done the work for you. Okay, so Heidi had asked how I use the mildliners on my pages, and I hope, Heidi, that I gave you some really good examples of how I use them just for task marks, for marking events that cross across days and across hours. If you have any other questions, or again, like I said, if you guys have any ideas of your own that you have done in your planner, please share below because we'd love to learn. Cindy asks, she says, this might sound like a dumb question, but do you highlight after drawing or after writing? Or do you draw the line and then write over it with your ink? She said she hates it when a highlighter will smudge her ink, and so what is the black pen you use? I'm so glad you asked that, Cindy, because it's a really good question, and I think it brings me back to that one that I didn't actually draw in my planner. I didn't write over it. So I definitely tend to write something down, and then I come back and highlight over it once it's finished. And so now that this ink is like dry, I feel totally comfortable doing that. And so I am much more, I'm much more in that camp. And look, crud, that one smeared. That is not a mild liner issue, that is 100% the ink. And so that brings me to something else. See what a good question that was, Cindy? Because that is such a valid problem, and I really hate that too. So I'm going to test one more little pen that I have here. I'm just gonna write down, honestly, this is kind of a practice sheet anyway. And I think I spelled vacuum wrong the first time. So there we go. But this one, I'm almost confident. I'm gonna be scared if it does it again. And I promise you that that was instantaneous. I did not delay in that at all. So I'm actually gonna come in here because that's part of, I think I need to remember what type of ink this is. And so I'm actually looking in here because I can't remember. Okay, so this is a Uni Jetstream ink refill, and I will link it below what I use. I get this off of either Jet Pens or Amazon. So the Uni Jetstream, it's way better. So the other ink that I have inside this is the Pilot Coletto. I just like this ink because it's like a darker, bolder look, but you're right. If you're using it with mildliners, and I don't usually come back and highlight over on that particular instance, what you see me do a lot of are the mark and then the ink is pretty much the basic line of that. But I do think it is important, yes, to find an ink that you can do that if you want to. So clearly that Uni Jetstream is a better example and not the Pilot Coletto. Darn it, I was so confident that that was gonna work. I thought I'd given it enough time to dry, but I hadn't. So there we have it. Thanks for messing up my planner, Cindy. Just teasing. Okay, and so one more question from Cecilia, actually two. She said that I've already answered this question for her, but it might be worth mentioning to others. She asks, what do you do if your layout is heavy in one color? I noticed on a previous video that you will use the assigned colors to something else. Okay, so I'm gonna flash up a couple of pictures of older layouts, and this one is from December, where I basically wanted to use these stickers from Hello Petite Paper, so I just narrowed it down to those colors of mildliners that I had and those inks, and that's all I used. So you won't see as much green on there or some of the other colors because I really wanted to just focus on the colors from the stickers. So that's an example where I just throw away my color code basically entirely and just use whatever I feel like needs to be used in order to help kind of balance out the page. However, this other example here is predominantly more mildliner focused. So if an event actually was for me, I tried to use green. And so the only time I can say is that yes, if I feel like I just end up seeing too much green, then I start to go to the next level of what the event is for. So maybe I have office hours that day, but office hours can be geared towards Etsy, it can be geared towards filming a video on YouTube. So maybe I pull out those secondary colors and I don't just assign it to me green, but I decide it's yellow or it's that vermilion corally color because I'm working on a video. I hope that makes sense. And I feel like I have those rules in my head, but I'm completely saying like I break them as well. Like if I just feel like I miss the color magenta and I don't see it on my page, then maybe I just throw that color in for fun and let it just roll. So rules are made to be broken there. Cecilia does have a second question about using the ruler to draw a long line out, for example, when something stretches across. And I think I shared that example in the monthly layout there, Cecilia. So good question, yes. And I do use that ruler often. If I don't, I feel like it's fine either way. On a day-to-day basis, I'm finding it's better just to sketch it out and not bother with a ruler, because sometimes I can get hung up on that. But I just kind of decide if I'm feeling precise, I grab a ruler. If I'm not, then I don't. Like, not a big... I obviously live like with a ton of rules in my life. Can you tell? Alright guys, I hope that answered a bunch of questions for you about mildliners. If you have any ideas, like I said, please share them below, or if you have further questions, I'd be happy to answer those as well. So jot them down in the comments. Otherwise, just say hi too, because I like to know that you've been by and appreciate that you joined me. If you haven't yet taken a chance, of course, I'd appreciate you to subscribe. It helps me know that there's interest out there, and I always appreciate it. So, hope you have a great week. Thanks. Hey guys, it's Julie from Plan to Create. Thanks so much for literally joining me in my room today. I feel like your friend's stopping by, and I hope you feel the same way. Today I am starting a whole new series called the Planner's Toolbox. Actually, it's not brand new. I've already done it. These are not... The purpose of this series...